Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Astra, and this is my submission of Deltarune, all chapters, Snowgrave, Glitchless. So, we're gonna be having a long portion of cutscene, so I can have time to explain there. So, I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so, first things first, you're gonna see that the control key is held down, and that is, for a thing called the wrist protector. The wrist protector is essentially an auto masher built into the game, so as long as you're holding C or X, you will be able to mash through text automatically. Unfortunately, choicers are not a part of that, and this little beginning portion is not a part of that either. So we have to hold down shift just to speed that up. So yeah, how all chapters works is that we're going to be starting in chapter 1, which is pretty standard, and then we're going to be moving into chapter 2, which is the most recent chapter. There. So first things first, we're just gonna hit all the arrow keys at once to wake up Chris as fast as possible. And then we're gonna move forward. So as you can see, Chris is running, and they accelerate at a certain pace. And so we want to make sure that we keep this top speed for as long as possible, and so that we don't bonk or bump into anything, and then we lose all of our speed and have to build it back up. So some pretty nice movement here. And then this is a good example of the overworld soul. This Deltarune is obviously a sort of an alternate universe take on Undertale, except it's based on, you know, going into the dark world and monsters and humans are already living in harmony and stuff like that. But it adds new mechanics like party members and a more refined attack system, but also adds the overworld attacking mechanism where enemies can attack you in the overworld with different obstacles. So for instance here with these spades, where we want to dodge them, and this will be going on for an extended period of time. So it's sort of like if you're dodging the soul, doing soul attacks in Undertale. And much like Undertale, and we'll get into the combat in a bit, but much like Undertale here, you have a health bar, and your health bar is a certain amount, and you can actually go through the choice of sparing or... Ooh, what did I get hit by? Or sparing or attacking your opponents. But there's a weird theming of the current edition of Deltarune, where your choices don't matter, or do they? We'll get into that once we start chapter 2, but for now, we're just going to be going through our little beginning portion here. And so here's our first enemy, and this is going to show our expanded mechanics of this game compared to Undertale, where we're going to attack, and then after the attack cycle, we're gonna have to dodge, and we're gonna have a lot more interaction with our enemy here. And then critical hits have a very small window of attacking. Unfortunately, I did not get a crit on the first attack, so I'm just gonna defend on these last two. If you get a crit on all 3 attacks, you can get a 3-turn. Unfortunately, I did not. So I'm just going to opt for the slightly faster defense method, since Susie can just immediately end the fight. And then this is Ralze, sort of our little fun dark world friend, our party member here. And he's going to be joining us for the rest of the run. So yeah, there is a little bit of mashing on stuff like choicers, but otherwise it's pretty simple, right? So now fields. So as opposed to random encounters, we're gonna have to deal with overworld encounters, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we don't have to worry about random encounters, but it's also a curse because we have to dodge encounters, and that can be really finicky. Nice. Now, it is important to note that I am playing on the current patch version, and of course, this is not the fight I want to get into right now. But I'm playing on the current patch version 1.07 of the demo, containing both chapters, and that's just because it, one, contains all of the quality of life improvements of Chapter 2, but also is the only one that contains Chapter 2. So we have to deal with some of the detriments that come with that in Chapter 1, which is enemies noticing you earlier than they should. And that can be really annoying. So here's our first example of sparing enemies. Generally speaking, attacking enemies will be faster, but for that instance there, it's just faster to spare. And our outcome in Chapter 1 doesn't really matter. There is a true pacifist route, but it doesn't really affect anything. It's just more of a fun little side thing. But it ends up being slower, so we just end up attacking because it just makes certain fights easier. So here we're getting a little example of having party members in the overworld helping solve puzzles and stuff, which is really cool. And then here we don't exactly have control over Susie, so our goal is just to try to get as few turns as possible while also using her to get through the fights as quickly as possible. So in this instance here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double attack with Chris and Rouse, and then I'm going to double defend, and what that's just going to do is that's just, it's going to have Susie attack the middle one, and then immediately I'm going to just have her attack because I don't have to do any sort of interact to make Susie attack. You can just defend, and then the Jigzari is gone. So, fun little puzzle here. And then after that is going to be probably one of the harder skips in the run. It is Rudin 4. I'm going to see if I can get it. It has a pretty specific setup. Whoops. And I got it. Very nice. That is not a hard trick to do. It's especially hard on the current patch. On the 1. Well, I guess as it's known in the community survey program, the initial release of Deltarune Chapter 1, that trick is much easier, but on current patch it's harder. And we can't play on survey program because that does not contain Chapter 2. So this is checkerboard. Nothing like super mind-blowing about it. Just kind of running through, mashing through text, and then we're going to be finishing up with K round. But here we have obviously these little warp panels here that aren't too bad to dodge unless you're me. But the important part here is the pawn men here. We want to make sure we don't mess up our movement too much because we can very easily encounter the pawn men, and if we get a 3 pawn men fight, that can lose a lot of time. Luckily, we've got through just fine, and then this is K round. So what we want to do, so you saw me intentionally get hit when Susie was being targeted during the Lancer fight, and that's going to come into play here, where I want to have it so that K round attacks Susie, so that Susie doesn't attack, and this is perfect. And so this is gonna down Susie, and now she's not gonna attack for the rest of the fight. And what that's also gonna do is that's gonna make it so that a certain attack isn't used for the heal, and so that's just gonna end up being way faster. So that's really lucky. That's not good. Chris is dead. We're gonna have to play some backup strats now because I was not prepared for Chris to be targeted. That's fine. Alright, so yeah, that's what happens when Susie attacks a bunch. I was literally on the last turn. That is incredible. But yeah, so different enemies will attack different party members randomly in Chapter 1, and they will do that for an entire attack cycle. And if you're unlucky or you end up getting hit, that can be really detrimental. And especially for the current situation where we're not going to be getting pretty much any equips except for like 1 or 2. We're not going to have practically any defense to work with. But yeah, anyway, here we are with the forest here. We're going to be seeing a lot more crucial fight skips or encounter skips. Also, let me see if I can get the skip. No, I didn't. So you can actually just barely go through those diamonds, and that can allow you to skip taking damage, and that also means I can skip a heal later. Unfortunately, I did not do that. That's fine. We do another encounter skip, and then coming up is our next fight after this puzzle that we already know the answer to. This is for Clover. So Rouse gave us this item called the manual at the beginning of the game, right before we entered fields, and that's going to be helpful because it just so happens that Clover likes knowledge, so we can just use that to get past without having to do the whole sequence of the sparing patterns and stuff like that. I'm mad. I was so close to skipping that. I think I was maybe like I think if I was on survey program, that probably would have worked. Unfortunately, I was just barely too late on that, or I think I was too early, something like that. It's fine though. So I really want to be getting crits so that I can just pass by easily. Luckily, because I got that encounter, that is going to make another encounter way easier to skip. Because specifically for Bloxer will run at you super fast if you've not encountered it before. Luckily, there we go. Please. There. That was kind of messy. If you encounter a Bloxer, then it'll rush at you. But once you've encountered Bloxer for the first time, it will not rush at you as quickly. So we can take advantage of that in the next Bloxer counter dodge. See, there's that. And then we're going to go into here, and this is the main forest maze part here. So we want to go the exact opposite direction to which Lancer goes. And then coming up, Susie's also going to be going through the forest maze, and we want to be going the exact opposite. We want to be going into the exact path that they both aren't going. So this is the encounter that we can now just skip with ease. We don't have to need to slow down at all for it because Bloxer is just not going to be rushing at us. If I skipped that one in Bloxer encounter, then I wouldn't have to worry about that. But unfortunately, I didn't, so we just can deal with that. I guess we can get a good meme with the duck head. So now this is the Susie Lancer fight. And I'm going to be going for the 2-1-2 strat, where I'm going to do X anything twice, and then I'm going to immediately sing to put Susie to sleep so she can't convince Lancer. No, I'm mad. I think I checked instead of singing. That's fine though. We have another turn to work with, so it's whatever. Also, another thing that I'm doing that I didn't mention, it's called grazing. So grazing is the closer you are to an attack, you'll build up this part of your TP gauge. And the TP gauge allows you to do attacks that you normally wouldn't be able to do. You can defend to gain TP, or you can alternatively just graze a bunch. And as you graze, for some reason, attacks finish faster. And so as you've seen, I've been trying to graze as much as possible so that I can end attacks earlier. And that can be really helpful. But also, TP grazing is going to be it's going to play a huge factor in our major boss fights coming up. So right now, it's not super important for attacks because we don't really have any good attacking moves that can take advantage of TP because we don't really have control over Susie. But for now, we're just going to be, zooming through. Alright. So now it's more of just sort of a cutscene sequence where we're just going to be dodging some diamonds here. I'm not sure what Chris's HP is at right now. Okay, yeah, we're healing. 100%. I don't want to get hit here because I'm pretty sure I'll just immediately die if I get hit, so gotta be careful. So yeah, this is more of just kind of a cutscene sequence for the next, 2-3 minutes. So here's our first equipable item that we're going to be picking up. First we want to interact with this cracked wall real quick, because we want 3 interacts. And then we want to get this iron shackle here, and what that's going to do is that's going to be essential for the rest of the run, because that's going to massively increase our attack power. But first we're going to need it to equip to Susie for our big fight at the end of this chapter. So first, just gonna go through this cutscene. And then, yeah, so this is where grazing can actually be a huge benefit. It can actually save 5 seconds if I get good grazing. But we'll see. So yeah, this is the whole sequence where we're dodging. It's a lot of downtime, all things considered, compared to the rest of the run, which is a lot of, fast-paced stuff's happening. Also, I should mention, I guess in reference to the wrist protector, you can mash faster than the, what the wrist protector can give you, and it's not recommended, but say you want to save time or whatever, and you really need that PB, and you're interested in going all in on the mashing, you can do that. Not recommended though. I should also mention that if you're playing in Japanese, you save 13 seconds in Chapter 1. Just for the consistency's sake, I'm playing in English for both chapters, because English is faster in Chapter 2. And I thought, why not? I'll just play in English for Chapter 1, just for the ease of it. Because I don't want to accidentally play in Chapter 2 in Japanese if I forget or whatever. But yeah, this is where Japanese will save the most time, is unskippable text here with Susie. So that was good enough. And now our mini cutscene's near over. So now we're gonna get freed from our jail cell. And we're gonna enter Card Castle, which has a lot of really tough enemy skips and some tougher fights. I'm only going to be doing one of the enemy skips, or at least trying to, because there's another one called Hathy skip, which is basically impossible on current patch. It's doable, it's just, you know, it's super tight. And I personally have not gotten it on current patch. I mean, I haven't gotten it on survey program, but it's still really hard. So it's definitely worth just skipping, honestly. For me, I just go straight into it. I'd rather not waste the time setting up for it. But right out of the gate here, it's going to be Rudin Ranger's skip. Yeah, I'm going to go for the risky route for it. It's fine. I'm usually pretty consistent at it. So I'm going to line up at the top, go at the torch, go at the door, and then get it caught on the corner there, and then you skip the Rune Ranger. Very nice. And then we're going to be meeting our fun little antagonist for Card Castle here, Rules Card. He's going to give us some extreme puzzles, like pushing a block. But coming up on this next floor is the Head Hathy. I'm just gonna run straight into it, and I'm just not even gonna slow down. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a 3-turn. That's fine. So a fun fact about Head Hathy, certain attacks will only attack, will basically be required to attack Chris. So I'm just gonna defend there, just so I can get faster TP grazing, since it's gonna be a 3-turn anyway. So I'm gonna attack. I'm also gonna attack, and then I'm gonna spare, and then I guess attack. There. Oh, what? Oh, I attacked. I'm foolish. I got lost in the stuff there. It's fine. So first things first here, I want to interact with these so I can get a thing, so I can get an item called the Revivement, because we want to sell that later. Alright, that's fine. So yeah, we're gonna pick up the Revivement here. And now we're gonna be doing some buying and selling. So I want to save, or not save, but so I'm gonna buy the Brave Axe, and then I'm gonna buy an Amber card. And then I'm gonna equip the Brave Axe and the Iron Shackle, and I'm gonna leave the Amber card to the side. But yeah, we wanted to get that stuff to buy, and then I'll sell the Revivement later. But for now, I want to keep the Revivement on hand. And then I'm equipping the Iron Shackle and the Main Axe to Susie for our coming up, our final fight here. And then here we want to get some nice grazing done, while also doing the throw, and we want to hit the crown. It is very easy to mess it up and go a little too low. So I'm just aiming a little bit higher to be safe. Because even if you hit the crown, if you are just slightly too low, the game will just be like, nope, you actually didn't hit the crown at all, and you actually hit the body, and then you lose a turn. So I'm just playing it safe. So yeah, coming up, oh, whoops, I messed up my split. It's fine. There we go. This is King. So I'm gonna try to go for a strat called 10-turn King. There's a very specific setup that you can do. There's 5 red and 6 red. I do 5 red. Just because it's nice and easy. Well, not easy, but it's much easier. And it's much less demanding on the grazing. So I'm going to be trying to get as many crits as possible. Really good start. So, first things first, I'm really going to try to focus on getting some good TP. 48's fine. I should be able to get enough off this attack, because I want to be immediately using an attack called Red Buster. And if I mash, I will get some extra attack on there. And then this is our main grazing attack here, where we can get a ton of TP from it. Okay, that's fine. What's important is I get some Susie crits. So that's really good. If I can get some Rousey crits too, that'd be nice. I should be good on getting 10 turn. But I just want to make sure I secure that. That was a little rough. I think I'm still gonna get 10 turn, but I'm just not gonna get Susie kill, which is fine. So nice, I'm maxed out on TP. So now I'm gonna really be focusing on getting some good defense strats going here. I actually could have afforded to attack with Rousey there, but it's fine. Alright. Susie's a good person to attack there. So I'm just really going to be trying to graze here as much as possible. Nice. Nice crits. And then the final attack here, I'm just going to try to graze a little bit just to speed it up. Oh, whoops. I, for some reason, defended with Rousey, so we're getting 11 turn. That would have been 10 turn with Rousey. I'm pretty sure if I got a Rousey crit earlier, that would have killed, yeah. If I got a Rousey crit, that would have been a kill. But it's fine. Still a really solid king fight. If I just attacked with Rousey as opposed to muscle memorying to defense, that would have been a 10 turn. But otherwise, pretty solid. So now we're just kind of cutscening it up a little bit. As Rousey does the whole thing of healing him because he, you know, fakes being a good guy. And so we get all messed up. And King's gonna be like, alright, I'm gonna kill you. He's like, oh. And he does like a whole wrap around to the beginning or whatever that we skipped because we can just go straight into the bed and skip the opening. And then Susie's like, yeah, I'm gonna attack you to lower your HP a bit since you're still a little weak. And this is all mental gymnastics because Rousey can now use Pacify, and then he sleeps. And now Rousey's like, alright, sweet. And then the whole card castle's coming to attack us because we're fighting the king. And so we gotta get out of here as soon as possible, but of course, Rousey is like, hey, I'm actually Azrael, sort of. He looks like Azrael. So, yeah, there's that cool thing. And then, yeah, that is chapter 1. Now we're just gonna seal the fountain here, and then immediately go back home and sleep in preparations for chapter 2. So yeah, I'm gonna wake up in the classroom here in just a moment. And it's gonna be like, hey, we were in this classroom this whole time, and look at all these chess pieces and Lego pieces and stuff. And cards. And then, you know, Susie's like, yeah, you know, we should do this again. This was fun. Fun times. And then we just go home. You know, as any reasonable person would. After a grand adventure of that scale. And we get to go through the hometown, which is full of colorful characters that we don't care about. We can just go home. And there's Toriel, who we just got a glimpse of, and then now we can just immediately close the game and immediately reopen it and start with chapter 2, because the flag for chapter starting is in the sleep, so we can just immediately start a new file like that. And now we're in chapter 2, where it's like, oh, well, we skipped the whole cutscene with Chris, you know, throwing the soul into the cage and pulling out a knife and stuff. You know, fun stuff. But now we're just gonna skip all of the lore and go straight into the cyber world, which is set in the library computer lab, but we don't need that lore. We're just here to game. And immediately, you know, we're post Susie character arc, and oh hey, it's Noelle. This, I mean, person that we've never seen before. This speedrun doesn't make any sense the story makes no sense from a speedrun perspective. But anyways, this is Queen. Plays a much bigger role in the story compared to the King. And so her whole goal is to capture Noelle and make her do her bidding or whatever. And so, fun little thing here. We're going to be taking advantage of grazing a lot more because I hinted at this before. But now we have some really good applications for TP usage. And that's going to come in the form of Susie's Red Buster, or Rude Buster, excuse me. And we can just immediately end that attack without having to do a double attack. And it's a little bit faster, because you're going to have to go through the whole cycle and stuff. And then, hey, Rousey's here. So yeah, then here we go. Just kind of chilling here. And Chapter 2 adds its own little mini mechanics that are different than Chapter 1. So for instance, when an enemy attacks, it will not just target a single individual, it'll actually be attacking the whole party, and so randomly an enemy will attack a different party member. So, you know, it's random who will get hit. However, enemies will be less likely to attack Chris compared to Susie and Rousey, and that's going to be a bit of an annoying bit for later. But as you can see, a lot more blending of mechanics and stuff, new mechanics with these teapots, and then, you know, these little bars that come down, these keys, I guess, that come down. And then we're just gonna run past this task here. We don't need the money from it. And then we got, we see Queen again. She's like, hey, join me, but first I want to crush your souls so that you can join us. And so she pulls out an arcade cabinet. And this is probably one of my favorite things of this chapter is this like call back to a game called Punch-Out, and then immediately later in the game for the final boss brings out the Punch-Out again. But that is not in this route, actually. We're actually going to be playing this differently, so you'll just have to wait. So yeah, we just got this mini game of Punch-Out, arcade Punch-Out. And so the goal here is to dodge as soon as possible while dodging the attacks, and getting as many hits in, and getting the 2 punches in as quickly as possible. Oh, didn't get the free shot in. That's fine. 70's still a fine fight. And then we're going to be choosing the left option, which is a funny little dialogue option if you are paying attention casually. And there's a reason why Rousey's blushing there. Anyways, now coming up is probably the most annoying part of Chapter 2. Not this Vero, but not this little agree-to-all thing, but this fight called the DJ's fight. So we're going to be fighting all these DJs here, and the whole idea is we want to make them dance and stuff like that. However, that can be really obnoxious, because that's like a whole cutscene and stuff, and we don't want to deal with that. However, the optimal way to do the fight is to have Chris die in the fight, so that Susie and Rousey can learn their S action and R action respectively, so that they can dance on their own, and then they can, alongside Chris, make all the DJs dance all at once, so they don't get snapped out of it. So we want to just skip it so they can immediately learn it all at once, then we can do the fight quicker. However, that can be really obnoxious. And just so that we can get a little bit more consistency, I'm going to have Susie healed, and Rousey's down. Hello? Okay, well, that's fun. Luckily, there's an autosave at the agree to all. That's unfortunate. Yeah, as you can see, that's the game having Chris not be attacked being weighed in pretty heavily. Where we want Chris to be down, but it's just not happening. Also, it doesn't help that Susie's low on HP from the from the fight with the werewires. If Chris had gotten hit instead, that may have actually been a more ideal situation, but unfortunately, we just couldn't deal with that. Luckily, we can just immediately go back into the fight. Okay, there we go. On the first go. If we could have had that the first time, that would have been really nice. Yeah, as you can see, Susie's like, oh, why can't we act? Happy feet, dumbass. I don't know why that menu was really slow. But it's like, happy feet, dumbass, and then we're all dancing except Chris, who's down. Kind of funny. Anyway, that fight's done, and that was the only thing blocking us from getting to the upper part. So, fun thing. So, I'm running Glitchless. There's actually a glitch that was found recently that basically makes it so you don't have to deal with these DJs for the main route run, and it's called door warping or bagel overflow. I'm not doing this here because in the Snowgrave route it sucks, and in the main route run it's pretty busted, but I like the Snowgrave run. It's got a nice length to it, so I'm doing that. Anyways, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be selling the revivement here. I actually didn't need to sell it because I gotten a bunch of extra encounters, but that's fine. And I want to buy the auto axe and the mecha saber because that's going to be important for a fight coming up. I'm going to get greedy. I'm just not going to worry about this because this strat is really tight. And I'd rather not fight the smorgasbord. Smorgasbord, jeez. Didn't get the little trick shot there, but that's fine. Then coming up, I'm going to pick up the Ragger 2. And then I'm going to be doing a couple of equips. Because we're going to be encountering Birdly. Who's sort of our rival he's, there we go, menuing. He's sort of our little rival character. And so, there's actually a trait you can do to get 3 turn, but it requires 5 out of 6 crits. Hopefully I can get those and show it off. Yeah, there's Queen again. And there's Noelle, who's fully joined her side, begrudgingly. Or I guess more reluctantly than begrudgingly. She doesn't really hold grudges, I guess. So yeah, anyway. We're gonna be doing a bunch of attacks. I missed a Susie crit. That's not good. So yeah, we're gonna be grazing a bunch here. God, I missed it by 1 crit. If I didn't miss the Susie crit, I think I would have been fine, but... No, don't bump. Yeah, I was literally 1 crit away. That's unfortunate. Luckily, this attack's good to graze on, so we can end the attack early. Because, yeah, what we want to do is we want to do enough damage to Birdley's little roller coaster cart to pacify it on the 3rd turn, so right after the Rude Buster, but unfortunately, could not get that because I missed it by 1 crit. So now coming up, I'm actually going to be doing an equip, and I'm going to be using the Amber card that I got earlier. So Susie doesn't like unequipping items unless she has a replacement for them. She doesn't like just getting rid of her items. And she doesn't like downgrading her weapons either. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be changing her Iron Shackle out for an Amber card. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to give the Iron Shackle to Chris so that they can use it for the rest of the run because the attack buff from Iron Shackle is really big. It's what allowed us to get a really good... what am I doing? It allowed us to get a really fast king fight. And so that's going to be really helpful for the upcoming attacks. Because we're going to be doing a lot of fights coming up. So I want to make sure I have that on hand. Then I'm just going to heal here. And then we have the city portion, which is going to be our big difference. Oh, if I can interact with the walk sign, we're going to be introduced to Noelle, and she's going to be the character that sort of, oh, geez, that scared me. That's going to basically be our sort of how we're going to be splitting the route here. So there's Snowgrave and main route. Main route has just some normal stuff happening, while Snowgrave is kind of eerie, but it allows us to skip pretty much all of Mansion, and it's really fast. But anyways, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back, defend, and then use Ice Shock, and then, oh hey, they're frozen. I wonder what that means. Okay, let's not get screwed by cars. I didn't get screwed by cars. That's good. I actually am happy I didn't get screwed by cars, because that can happen sometimes with those walking cars where they literally spawn right in front of you as you hit the switch, and it is just so annoying. But anyways, our goal here is to freeze every enemy. So think of this route sort of like the No Mercy route from Undertale. Because we are going to be not doing any sort of mercy, and we cannot use any sort of mercy at all, or we completely abort the route. Though it's pretty easy to not do that, and on certain encounters I'll make sure to to take it slow so that I don't use Pacifying Mist at all. So yeah, as you can see, Just going to be using Ice Shock a bunch. It is probably the most powerful attack in the game because Noelle's magic stat is really good. And it's so powerful. It's only rivaled by Red Buster, but this is just Noelle with base attack stats. So I did that with the wrong character. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I can recover from that. That's fine. It's no big deal. No, defend. There we go. Ice Shock. Cool. That could have been scary. So yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of spamming Ice Shock and getting a lot of TP. Didn't get the good attack on the task here. On tasks, you want to hope for getting the Meow attack, where it will, it'll shoot a little attack and meow with its, out of its mouth, and what that does is it's really good for TP grazing. Unfortunately, I did not get that. And then solving the puzzle here is faster than making Noelle do it. So that's fine. And then coming up here, I'm going to pick up an item called the Pink Ribbon. And that's going to be really helpful because it's going to basically double our grazing area. And it's also going to make our grazing better and more effective. And so that's really good for skipping attacks and getting a lot of TP. What am I doing? Jeez. So we're going to freeze that ambulance there, and then we're going to attack there. So yeah, I'm just going to be taking this grazing really tight, and I got a low roll. That's great. So yeah, important to note, Noelle's Ice Shock actually has rolls, attack rolls, and so sometimes you can low roll on it, and it won't freeze the enemy. And it's really annoying. So as you can see there, that was 213 damage. And there, that was 216. So as you can see, it can range quite a bit. So I'm just going to try to not graze here just for the sake of safety. Because it's possible to use Pacifying Mist on these Werewires, because Werewires are automatically sleepy, and that can make them super susceptible to Pacifying Mist. So you just want to attack here just to get some HP down on the Vero. Then I'm going to attack the ambulance. But yeah, the important thing here, as you can see, is that your attack is rapidly increasing, and so is your HP. And that's just through experience fighting. And so now we've attacked every single enemy. And now we're going to be forcing Noelle to get the freeze ring here. And that's going to set us up for the first part of the Snowgrave route, where we're now going to have basically a powered up ring, and that's going to make her incredibly powerful, basically able to one-shot every enemy going forward. So before we had to do like 1 or 2 attacks to weaken the enemy, but now she needs no such thing. 337 damage. So this is the Meow attack I was talking about. Way faster than getting the these little yarn balls, which are really awkward to graze off of. So yeah, as you can also see, Noelle her whole demeanor has changed when entering battle. Just kind of a sort of creepy little thing with this route. But yeah, as we just go through, it's just gonna be, just piling on the damage to enemies. As we are constantly just one-shotting them. So once again, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other attack with the Okay, that's fine. Because I don't want to get Pacifying Mist. That is the last Werewire, so I can't Pacifying Mist any more enemies, which is good. There are no more Werewires. I'm going to be one-shotting every other enemy in the game, so for the rest of the run, so that's, or well, at least for the rest of this portion. So, for all intents and purposes, we are locked in. So I want to be a little careful on my health here. It's just important that we keep Noelle alive. Chris being too low on HP is a little awkward. Also, ugh. So also, neat thing here. So after this point with the freeze ring, enemies are going to start running away. Okay, see, as you can see, Pacifying Mist doesn't do anything. I honestly thought I was in the wrong, different menu. But yeah, I wanted to attack this Vero here because getting a Nya attack is faster than getting a Vero attack because you can graze it a lot easier. But yeah, as you can see, enemies are running away. And we're able to skip some puzzles here. And that's just because they're really scared of not Chris, but Noelle. And her incredible power with her ice magic, as she does incredible damage to all enemies. So we have to sort of chase him down. So this attack's a bit awkward to graze with, but it's fine. This one's actually a bit easier to graze on. Okay. And now, another puzzle here. Getting completely skipped by Noelle, who just does it all herself with the power of her ice magic. And it teaches her some really eerie things where, oh, well, I can just solve all my problems with ice magic. Why would I solve my problems with anything else? And it's a really creepy thought. You know, from a lore perspective. But it's also really fun because you get to see a bunch of different... from a speedrun perspective, it's really fun because you get to see a bunch of different enemies' attack patterns, and you get to really practice your grazing and your menuing and stuff like that. So it's really nice for, you know, practicing and learning. It's also relatively short, so it's really nice. So this is going to be our last enemy before we head to a secret little dumpster in the dog alleyway. Or what would normally be the dog alleyway, but we're actually going to be seeing a character that we're completely skipping. That we completely skip with this route, and that is Spamton. Spamton is a little salesman who's just trying to strike a deal. And so we're going to give him that deal by giving him enough money and driving away enough people. And by doing so, is going to allow him the opportunity to get exactly what he wants. And so we're going to give him 1997 Chromer. And we're going to be equipping the Thorn Ring, which is going to increase TP gain. And it's also going to give Noelle a very special spell called Snowgrave. Hence the name, Snowgrave route. And we're going to be using that move on one specific encounter coming up. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So yeah, we're just making our way through. Desolate. The music is tuned down. And then here it is. This is Birdley. And so he's legitimately concerned for Noelle. And Noelle literally just sees him, and immediately is like, oh, well, he's an adversary, so he must be dealt with the same way that we have dealt with our other opponents. And it's just really creepy. So we're gonna basically defend until we reach 100 TP. And we're good. Now we're gonna make her use Snowgrave even though she doesn't want to. And then she's going to use this spell. And it is going to freeze Birdly. And you can even see Birdly is super scared by it too. And there he is. He is frozen. Should have teched. Look at that shine right there. Should have teched the attack. Now he's stuck. And now the fight is over as Noelle just leaves our party. And we can now just go. And this opens up a little path to the mansion. And we don't have to do any sort of city sequence or deal with Spamton at all. We can just... Oh, whoops. Well, I split super late. So let me just... Blah. Oh, whoops. My splits. So yeah, now we meet up with Susie and Ralze, who have had their own little adventures in the city while we have been committing mass freezings. So I'm gonna do a quick save here, just for safety. And then coming up here, I'm going to immediately open the menu here, and that's going to slow down the mouse wheel for some reason, and then we can just completely skip that encounter. And as you can see, the entire place is overrun by Spamton and his goons. Or, well, just Spamton and whatever the heck you call these things. Pipis? Peepees? Pipis? I don't know. I don't know the canon pronunciation of these enemies. But yeah, I messed up the maze, but it's fine. Only one encounter. Not too bad. As you can see, they're just everywhere. All with the head of Spamton. And they're annoying. So, normally in glitched runs, you would be able to just spam Z and enter to kill these and just kind of despawn them, but unfortunately we can't do that, so we have to kind of wait a little bit so that we don't encounter one of them. And then, just randomly, the Taskmaster is here. Can I use my attack? Jeez. The Task Manager here, fun little thing. And then just use Pacify on the Task Manager, and then they all get recruited. And now we just go up. And as you can see, we're just skipping all of the required portions of the mansion because, well, there's nothing going on. There's no party. Nothing's going on because Spamton is completely taking control. And he is now basically in the basement now, gaining his ultimate form. So it's like, alright, sweet. We don't have to worry about Spamton at all. We don't have to worry about, well, we don't have to worry about the queen at all. We don't have to deal with any of her antics. But Noelle is willingly just went to her room in the mansion while the queen is just kind of looking afar, kind of afraid of what will happen. As you can see here, just kind of chilling for a hot second. And then we're gonna go over in our last heart section here. I have plenty of HP because I healed, so we're good. Then as you can see, normally there'd be a whole fight here with Queen, but nope. Birdly is gone, so her whole sort of team up thing is gone. And she has no one to force to become the next knight and, you know, take a dagger to the ground and create a dark fountain. But, you know, Susie and Chris are not willing to do so, and Noelle is not fit for that. And so she's like, I'm gonna fight you and force you to do it. And she goes into her mech, and then Ralze is like, here's an abridged thing called the Roaring. It will destroy the world. And she's like, oh, okay. And the fight ends. Because there was no fight. She's like, alright, cool. And that's it. That's Queen. Very nice. However, Susie's like, I'm gonna check on Noelle. And then Rousey's like, I'll tell you about the force, about our little town that we've never seen before. And then Chris goes on their own into the fountain to seal it. That's run over, right? Wrong. We gotta fight Spamton Neo. Normally, Spamton is the secret boss of this game. However, in this route, he is the main boss. And so now I'm gonna focus a little bit because this fight is hard. I'm on TP. It's fine. That's not good. I'll heal. Okay, that's fine. Farm some TP. Oh, I need a lot of TP here. Because I got hit, so I didn't get a lot of TP from the carts. This is good. That should give me enough TP for the next attack. Yep. Good enough. Good hit. Nice fight. Really nice fight. That fight is really tough because I'm using an exploit called the Big Shot exploit. And if you hold down Z and mash enter or vice versa, you can use Big Shots infinitely. So normally you'd have to charge them, but we can just spam them infinitely. However, Toby patched in a little buffed version of the fight where if you use that, he will do harder attacks and he will do more damage. And so that can be really rough. But luckily we got through. And now we have succeeded and we have basically finished the run. That did get a little concerning when I took a hit early on, but luckily you can do an F1 heal, and then also you can farm TP more on some of the easier attacks so that you can get the process through quicker. And then yeah, the rest of the run's just sort of cutscene. And we get a few, deviations from the main route here. But for the most part, it's not too big. And we're just going to leave Birdley to die. Because he's supposedly dead, so, Noelle killed him with Snowgrave. The first time where there's real-world consequences to Dark World. To the Dark World and stuff. So yeah. Now it's just cutscene, cutscene, and cutscene, and cutscene. I think this would be like a 107, roughly. Maybe I'm completely eyeballing or lowballing it, we'll see. So I'm gonna try to do something fast. Yeah, you can do that, where you can make Chris go super far, and that's actually faster than having Chris just stand there. I don't know why, but it's a little funny. Anyways, now we just got a long cutscene. And we're just gonna be chilling for a little bit. I guess to sort of, close it out a bit. Cool things, cool shoutouts. Shoutouts to Shay. He's a cool guy. He runs both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. He runs all chapters. He runs all of Deltarune stuff. He runs a lot of Undertale stuff. He really helped me get into this run. So shoutouts to him. He gave some nice tips, some nice information. And, you know, his streams really got me inspired to run this game in general. And so it's really a fun time. And so, you know, all chapters was something that I wanted to build to for so long. And watching him run all chapters was just so fun to me that I felt inspired to run Deltarune. Shoutouts to the Deltarune community. There are so many different names and people who have contributed to the run in so many different ways and have given advice and have provided resources that have helped me learn and, you know, improve at the game over time. It's truly a miracle that there is a community out there that can just have so much there and so much information and still have stuff found even to this day. Well, obviously, the game is still relatively new. Chapter 2 literally came out a couple months ago. But even so, it still has some of the most interesting pieces of tech and, you know, optimizations as stuff's gone on. So it's really cool. Yeah. I think everyone is super supportive in that community. It's really cool to have the confidence to, you know, run this at all and make this a submission. I feel so confident with the game now, despite me, you know, not running it for a super long time, which is really cool. Anyway, we are now nearing the end. Looks like we will be getting a 107. Not too bad. Hurry up, Toriel. Hurry up, Toriel. This may not be a 107 because of you. Come on. Come on, Toriel. Alright, never mind. This is a 107. There it is. 107.43. Cool. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sitting through this hour-long adventure into the first 2 chapters of Deltarune. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you for considering me for the marathon. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.